Hey guys, excuse how I look. I have no makeup and my hair is not done. Today I'm going to be telling you the things that people don't really tell you about getting induced and the actual delivery of a child. I never really explained in detail my labor and delivery. I just kind of told you the facts, the basics, just basic things of what happened. But today I'm going to get more into how I felt during things, what the pain felt like, stuff like that. If you're new to my videos right now, you probably don't know much about my labor and delivery, so you will find out more, but right now I'm just going to tell you. I was induced at 39 weeks, and my son weighed 7 pounds, 11 ounces. He was 19.5 inches long. And I had no pain medication, no epidural, no Tylenol, no nothing. I had absolutely nothing, no gas, nothing. I did actually have oxygen, but that was because I couldn't breathe. Not everybody's experience is the same. It all depends on your pain tolerance, and I've been told that I have a really high pain tolerance. As far as the pain, in the beginning, I started off at 6 centimeters dilated at 39 weeks pregnant. I really didn't hurt, and started it really low just to get my body into it, and honestly my contractions really didn't hurt up until they broke my water. So we're just gonna go up until they broke my water, because when they broke my water at 7 centimeters. So that being said, I only dilated 1 centimeter until I broke my water, so but it took like 2 hours to get to 7 because the Pitocin was on so low. They kept upping it every, I think it was 30 minutes. They kept upping it 1 or 2. By the end they started upping it 2. But anyway, the pain really started the second they broke my water. My first contraction after they broke my water was extremely painful, and I didn't expect it. It was like this whole time I had been not in pain and I'd been fine, dandy on my phone playing, and as soon as they broke my water, it was all bets were off. What they did to break my water, if you guys don't know, if you're going to get induced, or you're going to have your water broken, or whatever, it doesn't hurt. It really doesn't. It feels like a water balloon just broke. They just put this like a knitting needle up there, and they like scrape it, and then a big gush of clear fluid just comes out all over your bed. And at that point you really don't care, because then your pain starts. But for me, they made me get up, and that's when I really noticed that it was hurting, because all of a sudden it's like this big bowling ball just dropped onto my pelvic bone. And if you picked up a bowling ball before, they're heavy and they're hard, and it's like a bone hitting a bone, and it's like painful. And the contractions when you're induced, they are very inconsistent, but they're all the time. You will have like maybe a 5-minute contraction, and then a few seconds, like 5-10 seconds of a break, and then you're right back into another one. And you can feel the contraction coming, like it's coming, because you start the tightening, and then all of a sudden it's like someone's just pushing down on your stomach really, really, really hard. I was in labor for 8 hours, which isn't very long, but I did start off at 6 centimeters dilated. So the pushing, I was 9.5 centimeters dilated when they started me pushing. I had been 9.5 centimeters dilated for about 2 hours, and it didn't change at all. So my doctor was visiting other patients while I was 9.5 centimeters dilated for 2 hours. So I was just sitting there, and I felt like you needed to have a baby. It's not like you need to poop, because pooping is entirely different. It has similarities, but it's the closest thing you can relate to if you've never had a baby before, but you don't feel like you need to poop. You feel like you need to push a baby out, and those are two completely different things. Anyway, my doctor came in at 9.5 centimeters dilated, and she said, okay, let's just push. So they brought all their equipment in, then everybody held my legs, and as awkward as that is, I thought that I would be so embarrassed by it. I didn't feel a thing. I didn't care, because when you're in labor, your brain doesn't process things normally. You just don't really care. Your legs are in the air, you're just chilling, you know, let's get this baby out. Because by that point, you're exhausted. Anyway, they got everything ready, and they said, okay, your next contraction, you need to bear down, you know, like you're gonna poop. That was the easy part, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. You push with everything you have. But the thing about induction is you don't have really any kind of a break in between contractions. It can either be no break at all. Those are the worst because you need a breather. You need some time to be able to breathe. But they started me pushing, and the first contraction I started pushing, and it's like, thank God, this is what I needed. Because, okay, I'm gonna make a kind of a gross reference here to pooping. When you push the first time, it's like when you've held in poop for a long time and you finally are like, okay, I can go to the bathroom now. So you push that first time and it's like, okay, good, we're getting this out. And then the second time you realize you're really constipated and you're like, oh fuck. It's similar, except with poop, you poop every day. With giving birth, it's not humanly possible to give birth every day. So it's not something you're used to, and if this is your first child, it's definitely not something that you've ever even done. So, especially not 7-pound, 11-ounce, 19.5-inch children. That bowling ball reference, pushing a bowling ball through your vagina. Vaginas don't hold bowling balls all the time. Just a really huge thing going through a really small space. So I keep pushing, and they do every other contraction for me because my contractions are coming so fast, and they turn the Pitocin down a little bit so they're not coming as fast, but didn't do any good. I had 10 contractions in 15 minutes. I'm pushing, and finally he starts crowning, and they're like, okay, the next push he'll be out. You know, they kept saying that after every push, and it just, no, he's not going to be out. I was so tired that I just, you know, was at the point of, I'm just done, I don't care. And so my doctor pulled his head out, and then didn't even wait for another contraction and pulled his body out too. And the reason for that being is as soon as his head came out, the cord, she realized he was purple, and the cord was wrapped around his neck twice. So she had to pull him out immediately and unwrap the cord, and as soon as she unwrapped the cord, he started screaming. Everything was fine, great, dandy, awesome. I was like, sigh of relief, I'm done. Oh my God. Thing nobody tells you, there is more. There is more after you give birth, and you are just done at the time you give birth, and you have no pain meds, and you were induced. You're just done. You're just like, just stop. I'm done. I'm not doing anymore. Just leave me alone. I'm done. Can't do that. I was still on Pitocin, and I was supposed to push out the placenta. So we waited a few minutes. You know, she stitched up the 2 second-degree tears inside of my vagina, and then was like, you know, her placenta isn't coming out. Ha ha ha, no way. So, after she just stitched up these 2 amazing tears inside of my vagina, she reaches her hand up into my uterus and starts pulling this placenta out while she is pushing really hard on my stomach, and she did that for about 20 minutes. Oh, well, you know, this, you know, isn't working. So she gets forceps, which is a nice term for tongs, because that is exactly what they look like. The freaking tongs you use to pick up turkey or whatever you pick it up with. Freaking tongs, you know, they like clamp and they're metal, and she sticks those up into my uterus, clamps on to my placenta, and starts yanking as hard as she can. And it's just like, ow, 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 ow. I don't have pain medication. I just had a baby. You just stitched up right where you're freaking yanking your little tongs. And then finally she like, boom, and this freaking huge placenta comes out. She puts it down, and then gush, freaking Niagara Falls of blood. Third thing nobody tells you, blood. There is blood. There is a lot of blood. And I've heard that from everybody. So my situation, it's not just me. There is a lot of blood. Except in my situation, which isn't common, so don't freak out. Although, I will tell you, I was watching another YouTube mom who had similar problems, and she said, oh, well, it's, you know, 1 in a million. And I was like, okay, good. I never had that problem. Yeah, well, I had something very similar. And that is, I started hemorrhaging. They don't really tell you about complications. And even when you ask for me, even when I asked about complications, they said, oh, there won't be any. That's what my doctor told me. So, there were, and I will explain them right now. So, as soon as she took the placenta out, I started bleeding so much blood. And to give you an example of how much blood this was, I lost 2 liters in a matter of 5 minutes. So, if you know how much a liter is, it's a freaking lot. And you imagine, you know, that much blood just pouring out of your body. And you can imagine, after giving birth to a child, you're just, like, sacked out. And then you're losing blood on top of that, and then you're just, like, gone. You're just done. I was bleeding non-stop, and I don't remember most of the things that happened during that time period. I am just recollecting what I've gotten from family members who were there. But there were nurses running in and out of my room, and then there was apparently a code called on the intercom at the hospital stating, you know, there's an emergency in room whatever, and we need all staff members here. And the surgeon was in there, and apparently all these nurses and people were in there just watching me bleed my guts out and die. I couldn't think about anything. My brain was just off in Wonderland, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. I'm dead. I'm gone. I'm just gonna die right now. It's just, you know, that's how it is. And I couldn't even process that. It was just like, great, awesome, that's cool, you know. I did what I came here to do. I'm done. I'm gone. Bye. You know, once all that was going on, they have someone constantly, non-stop pushing on my stomach. This is like non-stop pushing for like about an hour, and I was still on Pitocin, so I'm still having contractions while they're pushing and while I'm bleeding out all this stuff. They're like, well, we need to get her to a D&C now. We need to do this now. We need to scrape out our uterus right now. We need to do all this now. And, you know, she's gonna die in a few minutes. And everybody in the room was just like, oh my god, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? She's dying. And I'm just sitting there, cool, people. Let's just give up, because I'm done. My son was over there. He was just fine, getting weighed. I couldn't even see him. I was so blurry, and I was, like, blacking out, and I couldn't think or anything, and I couldn't even see my son. At that point, no, I didn't see my son. If I had died right then, I would have never seen my son. You know? That's the scary part. That's the sad part. I would have done all this, never seen my son, and just freaking died. Things like that happen. Complications happen. Eventually, my bleeding kind of slowed down, and I was like, I don't want to D&C, no. But what they did to get it to kind of stop or slow down was this nurse came by with this literal needle that was about this big. I think, you know, I was kind of out of it, but that's what my brain processed, was a really huge freaking needle. And she said, this is going to hurt, and stabbed it into my leg. I had a bruise there for about 2 months after I got it. But whatever it was, it did help. It slowed down my bleeding. But I wasn't allowed to leave the delivery room for about 24 hours. And then 24 hours after that, I finally got a blood transfusion because I couldn't get out of bed without passing out. So I was hooked up to a catheter. The truth about an induction and, you know, things that people really don't tell you when you get induced, or when you get your water broken, or when you even have a baby in general with no pain medication. Those are things that really nobody tells you could happen or will happen or is, you know, obvious is going to happen. They don't tell you that just because you need that fight in you. But I think I would have rather known, you know, everything before I gave birth, just because I, as a person, like knowing what to expect. But anyway, I hope this video helped you guys. I am sorry that it's so long. I just had so much to talk about. If you have any questions at all, just put it in the comments below, and I will try and answer them to the best of my abilities. Bye, guys.